Well, it's now been over 2 decades since Oklahoma native and country music artist Wade Hayes made his debut on the country charts. In that time, he's had his hits, performing all around the world. But the real journey in Wade Hayes' life, well, it's been a personal one. Country music success seemingly came easy for Wade Hayes.
Neon lights draw me like a moth to a flame.
Things just really snowballed. It was a really fast ride once I got there.
Yeah, you were young.
I was 22, 23 years old at the time. I had my first hit record when I was 24 years old.
I'm old enough to know better, but I'm still too young to care.
Old Enough to Know Better hit #1 on the Billboard charts.
Tonight's second Horizon Award nominee, Wade Hayes.
With his debut album producing another 3 top 10 singles.
It was the most incredible thing, and it was a blur. You know, so much happened, I can hardly remember all of it. And it was, to be honest with you, too much for a 24-year-old kid from Bethel Acres. I had never seen or done anything. And then all of a sudden, I'm flying coast to coast all the time and seeing things and experiencing things I'd never dreamt that I would get to do.
And Wade Hayes' career continued to rock along with more hits despite himself.
I was, really a naive country boy. And I knew I wasn't a stupid person, but I look back and think, how stupid were you?
Shaking up my world.
It's a hard game, and you've got to have a great team on your side. I mean, you can't do it on your own.
A lesson Hayes would later be reminded of in his personal life.
What I meant to say was, I love you.
In 2011, I had been experiencing some abdominal pain and a little bit of bleeding, not to be too graphic, so we do a colonoscopy and find out I've got a tumor about the size of an orange in my large intestine. And upon further tests, discover that not only do I have cancer there, but it has spread to most of my liver, my lymph nodes, my diaphragm, and was given about a 12% chance of surviving.
What I meant to say was, what I didn't say at all.
They schedule kind of an emergency surgery, and they go in and take over 20 inches of my large intestine out, 60 to 75% of my liver, part of my diaphragm, just on the first go around. I go through recovery, and then we start the chemotherapy, and that was a really horrible ordeal. And I make it through that, and I make it exactly a year, and my tests start bleeping again that there's something wrong, and find out that I have cancer again, this in my lymph nodes near the original tumor site. So I get to start the whole process over again.
See how far it spread, or just go home.
More chemotherapy, another surgery, and questions on his own mortality.
When I was going through chemotherapy, I started reading statistics, which I wouldn't advise anybody to do now, and saw what I didn't realize until that point, what serious trouble I was in. And so at that time, I wrote a song called Is It Already Time?
Nothing I could do or say right then could change a thing. So I sat there alone, wondering, is it already time? Time to move along. Have I lived my life? Have I written my last song?
The writing, was kind of therapy for me, and I walked my dog Jack every day, even with the chemo bag hanging out of me. I had to wear it home, and the whole thing just sucked.
Is it already time?
It was horrible. Just trying to shower with this needle hanging out of you and pumping poison into you and trying to sleep with it. It's just,
Sure, I might have done a few View things different, had I known I might not get.
I allowed myself a moment to think, wow, is this really it? You know, is this how it's going to end? And then that was it. I put my head down and I started moving forward, and I did not look up.
And began a comeback on stage, this time not just singing his songs, but sharing his journey with others.
I've spoken with people after shows, total strangers, prayed with them that are facing this diagnosis, that are hurting and scared. And I can say, I understand.
One of the reasons I'm sharing this story, which again, I'm a pretty private person, but I've been adamant about telling people about this, is when I was going through this, I met a man who had been there. He'd been diagnosed similar to me, and he had made it. He made it through it, and he was still alive. And that gave me so much hope. You know, just knowing that it could be done, it gave me something to fight for. Knowing that it's possible. I imagined a day when it was done, when I was through it and I no longer had cancer. I imagined it was already done. I didn't think about the needle in my chest or the blisters in my mouth or how I couldn't touch anything or walk on anything because of the neuropathy. I thought about the day that it was finished and when I was going to feel better. And I focused my attention on that, and all of a sudden, I look up and I'm there. Don't think about how you feel at the moment. Think about a day when it's done, like you're already through it. And that helped me more than anything.
And Hayes got on with his life, began touring again with a newfound wisdom and an appreciation for life.
What got this next phase of my life going, what jump-started the whole thing, I was meeting with my oncologist. He said, Wade, you know, this is a big deal. He said, you were stage 4, and now there's no evidence of the disease whatsoever. He said, you need to go live your life.
Take it from someone who knows. Life ain't fair sometimes, man, it ain't even close.
You know, it really got the wheels turning and thinking about how precious this life is and how much I'd taken for granted. You know, but as far as realizing how fortunate I am, I do. And I'm thankful to be here, and I'm living every day trying to not only convey that to people, but help other folks realize it as well. You know, this is a precious thing, and it's flying by us.
Go live your life, go chase your dreams. We got no way of knowing what tomorrow brings.
Now, Hayes will tell you that since his recovery, he's had one of the best times of his life for the simple fact he spent much of it focusing on others facing similar challenges. Now, if you'd like to see some of the highlights of a benefit concert he played with Miranda Lambert, Steve Wariner, and Kix Brooks to raise money for the cancer research at the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, we do have a link to it under this story at okhorizon.com.